Good morning. Yes, so we are on Art Talk 196, and we are talking about Matisse's Blue Period. Of course, he's known as one of the greatest colorists of the 20th century. Matisse experimented and paved the way for many modern art movements. Blue nude is of a woman laying nude with one leg over the other, an arm bent against her head. Now, the strokes that were used in this painting are somewhat sketch-like, and you can see the process of applying the paint to the canvas through this. Some of the most notable places that you can see this type of application is the shading on the inner side of her left breast and the dark lines around her thighs and face. Now, this is a feature that falls into the category of avant-garde because it goes against the smooth, soft lines that the Academy really strived for. And the reason that critics at the time appreciated more of a smooth finish to the paintings is to give them a stronger sense of realism. But of course, Matisse was not interested in appeasing the critics. He was actually working on a sculpture at the time, Reclining Nude 1, when he accidentally damaged the piece. And before repairing it, he decided to paint it in blue against a background of palm fronds. La Fenêtre à Tangère is an example of Matisse's paintings after the colorful revolution of his Fauvism period. After several trips outside France, Matisse became interested in the Islamic art of North Africa. He visited Morocco in 1912 and 1913. Window in Tangier, with its bold color and flat perspective, reflects a Moroccan influence. This was among several works acquired directly from Matisse in Paris by the Russian collector Ivan Morozov. After the Russian Revolution, the Morozov collection was confiscated, and eventually by 1948, the collection was donated to the public at the Pushkin Museum of Fine Arts in Moscow. Another piece from his travels to Tangier, Matisse places his model Zora outside on a rooftop under the blazing sunlight. But the intensity of the light is muted by a pale green shadow that supports the color in Zora's dress, much as the blue of the carpet functions for the lower part of her dress. The pink patch of sunlight in the upper left is balanced by a matching hue in the goldfish bowl on the lower right. Entrance to the Kasbah is the right wing of a triptych that the artist produced during his second trip to Tangier in 1912. Although there is kind of a sketchily realized seated figure in the shadows at the left, the picture is almost exclusively concerned with rendering a tightly defined architectural space, as seen with the drastic contrasts of light and shade typical of North Africa. Matisse painted The Conversation at a time when he had abandoned the open, spontaneous brushwork of Fauvism in favor of a flatter and more decorative style. It shows Matisse in profile, standing at the left in striped pajamas, while his wife, Amélie, sits to the right. The flatly painted blue wall behind them is relieved by a window opening onto a garden landscape. Art historian Hilary Sperling has described this stern encounter as, quote, portraying the profound underlying shape or mechanism of a relationship laid down for both parties on the day, soon after they met in 1897, when Matisse warned his future wife that dearly as he loved her, he would always love painting more. It's pretty amazing to look at this piece compared to The Conversation back here. They look like they could be painted by two totally different artists, but that just highlights the experimentation and skill level that Matisse had. While they both center around the color blue, the piece before is more flat, while Moroccan Landscape here showcases a variety of hues, and the brushstrokes allow for a kind of blending of these blues, greens, and violets in this vegetal landscape. This print was made towards the end of Matisse's life when he became wheelchair bound, and he portrays an interior scene illuminated by a wash of blue, including a window, which was a familiar feature in his work. The viewer can imagine the waters of the Mediterranean sparkling in the distance. This dreamscape, anchored by a faceless figure seated behind an exuberant houseplant, boils everyday life down to its most basic elements: a chair, a table, a window, and curtains. Small Blue Interior is a mature poem to beauty to be enjoyed by all lovers of modern art. Now, these should look pretty familiar. The Blue Nudes is a series of collages and color-related lithographs made from paper cutouts depicting nude figures in various positions. Again, restricted by his physical condition later in life, Matisse began creating art by cutting and painting sheets of paper by hand. Matisse viewed these as independent works in their own right. The Blue Nudes refers also to the edition multiples based on the cutouts, and Matisse supervised the creation of these lithographs until his death in 1954. Matisse is often compared to Picasso in terms of the influence that their careers had on modern art, as well as the actual work that they created throughout their lives. And we can see here 3 instances of modern blue, with Matisse's Colombe dans le ciel, Picasso's Joie de vivre, and the Yves Saint Laurent Blue House in Marrakesh. As we've all learned, Matisse's influence on modern art has been vast. He's one of my personal favorite artists, as there's just such a wide breadth of style, form, and quantity throughout his career to study and enjoy. And I hope after last week's art talk and this week, you feel all somewhat like a Matisse expert now, and you can go through the world identifying his work, or at least identifying the influence that his work had on modern art today. Thanks, everyone.